What happens when one of Hollywood's most respected actors walks onto a morning talk show and gets pushed so far that he storms off set in front of millions of viewers? In just 28 seconds of Savannah Guthrie questioning his career choices, everything exploded. This is the story of how a simple interview turned into one of the most shocking moments in morning television history. Harrison Ford arrived at the Today Show studio that morning, expecting a standard promotional interview. He was there to talk about his latest project, something he had done hundreds of times before. The legendary actor, known for playing heroes like Indiana Jones and Han Solo, settled into the familiar chair across from Savannah Guthrie. Hoda Kotb sat beside her, and Craig Melvin was positioned at the news desk nearby. The cameras rolled, the lights were bright, and everything seemed normal. Savannah started with what seemed like a straightforward question. Harrison, thank you so much for being here. Let me ask you something that I think everyone wants to know. At your age, why are you still doing action movies? I mean, aren't you a little old for this? The studio went quiet. You could feel the tension immediately. Harrison paused, his expression shifting from friendly to guarded. Well, Savannah, I do these films because I love the work. Age is just a number, and I stay in great shape. But Savannah did not let it go. She leaned forward with a smirk. Right, but come on. We have all seen the younger actors doing these roles now. Chris Pratt, for example. Do not you think maybe it is time to pass the torch? Let the younger generation take over? Hoda shifted uncomfortably in her seat. You could see her glance at Savannah, as if trying to signal her to change direction. Craig looked down at his papers, sensing something was going wrong. Harrison's jaw tightened. I think experience matters in this industry. I bring something to these roles that comes from decades of work. It is not just about youth. Savannah laughed. Actually laughed, and it was not a kind laugh. Experience? Harrison, let me be honest with you. Some people are saying you are just doing these movies for the paycheck now, that the passion is gone. What do you say to that? The other hosts looked stunned. Hoda actually put her hand up slightly, as if to interrupt, but Savannah kept going. I mean, we have all seen actors hold on too long, Savannah continued. Is that what is happening here? Are you just cashing in on nostalgia? Harrison sat back in his chair. His eyes went cold. Savannah, I have been doing this job since before you were born. I do not need to justify my choices to you or anyone else. Ooh, touchy subject, Savannah said with a grin that made it worse. I am just asking what people are thinking. Wait, is not that what journalism is about? Journalism? Harrison repeated. Is that what this is? Because it feels more like you are trying to make a name for yourself by tearing down someone who has actually earned their place in this industry. The studio audience gasped. You could hear it clearly. Hoda jumped in quickly. Harrison, I think what Savannah is trying to say. But Savannah cut her off. No, Hoda, I can speak for myself. Harrison, if you cannot handle tough questions, maybe you should not be doing press tours. This is what interviews are. We ask hard questions. Hard questions? Harrison's voice rose slightly. You are not asking hard questions. You are being disrespectful. There is a difference. Savannah's face flushed. Disrespectful? I am doing my job. Maybe you are just not used to journalists who do not worship at your feet anymore. Craig finally spoke up from the news desk. Hey, maybe we should take a breath here and... Stay out of this, Craig, Savannah snapped, not even looking at him. Harrison leaned forward. Let me tell you something, Savannah. I have sat across from some of the best interviewers in the world. People who knew how to have a real conversation. What you are doing right now, this is not journalism. This is you trying to create a viral moment at my expense. Oh, please, Savannah shot back. You Hollywood types are all the same. You want the fame and the money, but the second someone asks you a real question, you fall apart. Maybe if you were more relevant, you would not be so defensive. The audience was dead silent now. Hoda looked like she wanted to disappear. Craig had stopped even pretending to look at his notes. Harrison stood up slowly. You know what? I do not have to sit here and listen to this. Oh, are you leaving? Savannah asked, her voice dripping with sarcasm. How very professional of you. Running away when things get uncomfortable? I am not running away from anything, Harrison said, his voice steady but angry. I am refusing to be disrespected by someone who clearly has no idea what real professionalism looks like. He started to remove his microphone. The crew members around the set did not know what to do. Cameras kept rolling. Producers in the control room were probably losing their minds. Savannah was not done. This is incredible. Harrison Ford, everyone, cannot even handle a simple interview. I guess those tough guy roles are just acting after all. Harrison stopped. He turned back to face her. You want to know what is incredible? That someone gave you this job when you clearly have no respect for the people you interview. You are not a journalist, Savannah. You are a bully with a microphone. Hoda stood up. Harrison, please, I am so sorry. This got out of hand. Can we just... Hoda, you seem like a nice person, Harrison said, his tone softening just slightly when he looked at her. But your co-host here just made it impossible for me to stay. I came here in good faith, and I have been attacked from the moment I sat down. Savannah stood up too, her face red. Attacked? You are such a drama queen. I asked you legitimate questions about your career, and you could not handle it. That is on you, not me. Legitimate questions? Harrison's voice rose again. You called me old. You said I was washed up. You accused me of only caring about money, and you did it all with this smug attitude, like you are better than me. That is not journalism. That is cruelty. Maybe you are just too sensitive, Savannah said. Maybe the problem is that you cannot accept that your time has passed. Craig finally stood up from the news desk and walked over. Savannah, come on. This is too much. You stay out of this. Savannah pointed at Craig. I am so sick of everyone here treating our guests like they are made of glass. We are supposed to ask tough questions. Harrison shook his head. There is asking tough questions, and then there is what you are doing. You crossed a line the moment I sat down, and you have been trying to humiliate me ever since. Humiliate you? Savannah laughed again, that same cruel laugh. Your ego is so massive that you think one interview can humiliate you. Please. You are humiliating yourself by acting like this. Hoda put her hand on Savannah's arm. Savannah, stop. Just stop. Savannah pulled her arm away. No, I am tired of coddling these celebrities. They come on our show, we give them free publicity, and they think they can just charm their way through without answering real questions. Harrison finished removing his microphone and placed it on the chair. I have answered thousands of questions in my career. Real questions from real journalists. But I will not sit here and be your punching bag so you can feel important. Then leave, Savannah shouted, on live television. Go ahead and leave. Show everyone what a professional you really are. Harrison looked at her for a long moment. You know what the sad part is? You probably think you won something here. You probably think this made you look strong. But all you did was show everyone watching who you really are. He turned to walk away. The cameras followed him. Savannah called after him. That's right. Walk away. Just like you walked away from every challenging role in the last 10 years. Harrison stopped at the edge of the set. He did not turn around. Goodbye, Savannah. I hope someday you figure out that being mean is not the same as being good at your job. And then he walked off. Just like that. See, one of the biggest movie stars in the world walked off the Today Show set while cameras captured every second. Savannah stood there, breathing hard, her face still red. Hoda looked devastated. Craig looked angry. The audience sat in stunned silence. "Well," Savannah said, trying to regain composure and failing, "I guess we know who cannot handle the heat." Hoda turned to her. "Savannah, what did you just do?" "I did my job," Savannah insisted. "I asked him real questions, and he could not handle it." "You attacked him," Craig said quietly. "From the first question, you attacked him." "I did not attack anyone." Savannah's voice was defensive now. "I asked about his age and his career choices. Those are fair topics." "The way you asked was not fair," Hoda said. "You were aggressive from the start. You wanted this to happen." The audience started murmuring. People were talking to each other, pointing at the set. Security did not know whether to intervene or stay back. Savannah looked at the cameras. "We are going to take a quick break." But the damage was done. The moment had been captured. Millions of people had just watched Harrison Ford, one of the most beloved actors in Hollywood, get pushed so far that he had no choice but to leave. In the control room, producers were scrambling. Phone lines were probably lighting up. Social media was definitely exploding. But none of that mattered in that moment on the set. Hoda sat down heavily in her chair. "I cannot believe that just happened." Craig walked back to his desk, shaking his head. "That was brutal." Savannah stood alone in the middle of the set, still trying to justify what she had done. "He was being difficult. You both saw it. He could not answer simple questions." "Those were not simple questions," Hoda said quietly. "You went after him. You wanted to make him uncomfortable." "So what if I did?" Savannah's voice had an edge to it. "We are supposed to be journalists. We are supposed to push people." "There is pushing people, and there is what you just did," Craig said. "That was personal." Savannah crossed her arms. "You are both overreacting. He is a big boy. He can handle a tough interview." "Clearly he could not handle that," Hoda said, "because you made it impossible for him to stay." The audience was still there, watching this all unfold. Some people looked shocked. Others looked angry. A few were filming on their phones, even though they were not supposed to. Savannah finally seemed to realize how bad this looked. "Okay, maybe I came on a little strong." "A little strong?" Craig actually laughed, but it was not a happy laugh. "Savannah, you told Harrison Ford he was washed up on live television." "I did not say washed up," Savannah protested. "You said his time had passed," Hoda reminded her. "You said he was cashing in on nostalgia. You questioned everything about his career and his choices." "Because those are legitimate questions." Savannah's voice rose again. "Why is everyone acting like I committed a crime? I asked an aging actor about being an aging actor." Craig stood up. "The problem is not what you asked. It is how you asked it. You were condescending. You were rude. You laughed at him." "I did not laugh at him," Savannah said, but her voice was less certain now. "Yes, you did," Hoda said softly. "Multiple times. You laughed at his answers. You mocked him." Savannah looked between them. "I was trying to make good television." "You made something," Craig said. "I am not sure it was good." The stage manager finally approached. "We need to go to commercial. Now." The cameras cut away, but the moment lingered. Staff members were talking in hushed voices. Someone from production came onto the set, looking furious. Savannah tried to defend herself again. He was being oversensitive. He could not handle a real conversation. "Savannah," Hoda said, and her voice was tired. "That was not a conversation. That was an ambush, and you know it." In the hallway backstage, Harrison Ford was surrounded by his publicist and several staff members. He was still angry, his face tight. "I am sorry," one of the producers said. "That should never have happened." Harrison shook his head. "I have done thousands of interviews. Thousands. And I have never been treated like that." His publicist was already on the phone, probably doing damage control, but Harrison just wanted to leave. Is there a way out of here that does not involve going back through that studio? He asked. Someone showed him to a side exit. As he walked toward it, crew members he passed looked embarrassed. Some apologized. Harrison nodded at them, understanding it was not their fault. Back on the set, Savannah was talking to a producer. It was a good interview. Controversial, yes, but good. People will talk about this. People will definitely talk about this, the producer said, and his tone made it clear that was not a good thing. Hoda had her head in her hands. Craig was on his phone, probably texting someone about what had just happened. The audience was being told they could leave if they wanted. Many did. They walked out talking loudly about what they had witnessed. One woman said to her friend, "I cannot believe she treated him like that. He is Harrison Ford." Another person said, "She was so rude. I felt bad for him." Savannah heard some of this, and her expression hardened. People do not understand. This is what real journalism looks like. "No," Hoda said, finally looking up. "This is what ego looks like. You wanted to take down a legend, and you did. Congratulations." The commercial break ended. Savannah had to go back on camera and pretend everything was fine, but her hands were shaking slightly as she picked up her notes. "Welcome back," she said to the camera, her voice artificially bright. "Well, that was certainly unexpected." Craig did not say anything. Hoda managed a weak smile, but stayed quiet. Savannah tried to move on to the next segment, but the energy was gone. The whole show felt wrong now. Staff members were distracted. The other hosts were clearly upset. During the next commercial break, Hoda stood up. "I need a minute," she said, and walked off the set. Craig looked at Savannah. "You realize what you have done, see, right?" "I did an interview," Savannah said stubbornly. "You ended an interview," Craig corrected. "You pushed one of the biggest stars in Hollywood until he had no choice but to leave, on live television." Savannah's confident facade cracked just slightly. "He should not have been so sensitive." "He was not being sensitive," Craig said. "He was being human, and you forgot he was human. You saw him as a target." The rest of the show limped along. Savannah tried to maintain her composure, but anyone watching could tell something had gone very wrong. The other segments felt hollow. The usual banter between hosts was gone. When the show finally ended, Savannah went straight to her dressing room. Hoda and Craig stayed on set, talking quietly with producers. "We need to figure out how to handle this," one producer said. "How do you handle this?" Craig asked. "It is already out there. Millions of people saw it." In her dressing room, Savannah was checking her phone. Social media was indeed exploding, but not in the way she might have hoped. People were angry. They were defending Harrison. They were calling her out. One tweet read, "Savannah Guthrie just showed her true colors. Absolutely disgraceful how she treated Harrison Ford." Another said, "I have lost all respect for the Today Show after watching Savannah bully Harrison Ford on live TV." There were hundreds more like that. Thousands. The story was spreading fast. Savannah put her phone down. For the first time, she looked uncertain, maybe even worried. Meanwhile, Harrison Ford was in a car heading away from the studio. His publicist was still on calls, managing the situation. But Harrison was quiet, looking out the window at the city passing by. "You did the right thing," his publicist said after hanging up. "You do not have to tolerate being treated like that." Harrison nodded, but did not say anything. He was not the type to gloat or feel victorious. He was just tired. Tired of the disrespect, tired of the games, tired of people forgetting that celebrities are people too. Back at the studio, the full weight of what had happened was settling in. Staff members were talking about it in every corner. Some defended Savannah, saying she was just doing her job, but most agreed she had crossed a line. Hoda found Craig in the hallway. "What a disaster," she said. "Complete disaster," Craig agreed. and it could have been avoided so easily. She wanted this, Hoda said. She wanted a big moment. She got one. Just not the kind she was hoping for, Craig added. In the following hours, the story spread everywhere. News outlets picked it up, entertainment sites ran with it, video clips circulated online. Everyone had an opinion. But in that moment, in that studio, as the dust settled, one thing was crystal clear. Savannah Guthrie had pushed too hard. She had forgotten the basic principle of respecting your guest. And Harrison Ford, a man who had built a legendary career on his talent and professionalism, had reminded everyone watching that there are limits to what anyone should tolerate. The interview that was supposed to be a routine promotional appearance had become something else entirely. A moment where arrogance met dignity, where cruelty met principle, and where one man decided that his self-respect was worth more than any television appearance. Harrison Ford walked off that set with his head held high, and Savannah Guthrie was left standing in the wreckage of what she had created, surrounded by cameras that had captured every uncomfortable second.